Moment of silence. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. And if we would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are you doing roll call, City Manager?
I guess I am. So we'll do the roll call. Mayor Kim Harrison Edwards,
Here.
Ward 1 Sherry Rogers,
Here.
Ward 2 Stephen White, Ward 3 Debbie Gump, Ward 4 Herb Curtis, City Manager's present, City Attorney Brian Bailey, Street Commissioner Mike Sterrett, Code Enforcement Officer Marty Lewis, Police Chief Mike Posey, Fire Department Chief Jimmy Settle, Finance Director Joe Solberg, and Judy Piercy has been excused for vacation. And I think D is coming late.
All right. First thing, under the visitors section, we have a couple people registered to speak. And it looks like the first one is India Henline. If you want to come to the podium, please. Yeah.
Don't cancel it out.
You're supposed to just picture everyone in their underwear.
It made me blush.
It's got worse, isn't it?
Okay, I'm gonna blush now. Never mind. Just see you later. No, my name's India Henline. I am here on behalf of the ordinance that you will go over later about the closure of an alley on Gould Edition. My husband and I bought that property in 2012. I just wanted to give some insight as to why we're asking to close that alley.
Sure.
We are selling the property, and the buyer's lawyer came in and discovered that the alley actually runs through our home. So when we bought it, we were told that it was off to the side of our home and it was never really an issue. Well, I guess it runs through the home in two different parcels. And that the buyer is like, their lawyer's like, absolutely not. We cannot do that. So we are asking for you to close the alley or relocate the alley.
Okay. That was a surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Like
like
a-
one accessory item.
Right. Right. But I guess that's it.
Okay, well, are we addressing that
It
later?
is on the agenda for later. I'll just make mention to you, Ms. Henline, that we're doing a little bit of research on the state code. We haven't closed an alley for a while, so we're not always real clear on the processes, but it's either going to be a two reading with a week in between at least,
Okay.
or there may be a publication period if we find that in state statute, which may delay it maybe 30 days or something like that. But we'll see what ends up happening. I think the city attorney's assessment as of tonight is that we don't have to have that publication, but we want to be sure. So we'll have the first reading hopefully tonight if council approves it, and then a second reading at a future date as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think the sooner the better on that.
Sure.
Because, you know, the way interest rates and everything are.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure, they don't want to go up.
we'll give ourselves a hard deadline of a week to make sure we've settled the law, but
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, next, Junior Kelly. Good evening.
Yeah, I'm here about the cemetery. Nothing's working right up there again. I was up there yesterday and the old man came out and said, I think you need to get the hell off the hill. No, that's not gonna happen. So I called the cops and they sent a deputy up there. And he acted like didn't know what he was doing. He stayed in the cruiser the whole time and was talking to Mr. Zestri. And he was parked in the turning space that we're all supposed to use. And so the Zestri comes over, stands in front of me like this, and he's, you know, getting in that position, you know, that you want to watch out. Anyway, his daughter hollered at him and said, "Dad, come back here, don't do that." So I talked to the officer and he said, "Well," he says, "can you show me what's going on here?" And I didn't have this with me at the time, but he had a tax map on his computer. And I said, "That's a tax map. That's not going to show you anything that what I'm talking about." I mean, the alley is actually 20 feet wide, and on that contract that Zestri signed with the city, it only says 9 feet, so you're missing a lot of feet there. And the turning area, which was a lot of the turning on, is so narrow that when you're backing back, you can't turn into that without either getting a wheel in his yard or scraping one of his cars. And I don't want to end up paying higher insurance just because I dressed his car up a little bit, which is not a bad idea. I don't have a thing in the world against him or his family. I just wish that he would keep his mouth off me and mind his own business, stay on his own property, and quit blocking the alleyway. Because you got that $10,000 grant coming up for the cemetery, and you got a few volunteers. And I don't see why those volunteers should have to walk all the way up to the top of the hill from the steps down there when they could come up there and park. You know, there's ample room for them to park and still, you know, it goes quite top of the hill there. Then they wouldn't be tarred up before they started work. And but I'm just about tired of this tomfoolery stuff, calling names. And now the last time he had his truck parked there, it was rainy and everything, and he got dug trenches in there and stuff, you know, pulling in and out, speeding a little bit, maybe spinning, I don't know. But I asked Mr. Sterrett if he would take a ton of gravel up there and I would fix it and I would spread it out for him and try to keep him out of there. And Mr. Sterrett, I had to go to the hospital with my wife, so Mr. Sterrett went up and spread it himself, which I thank you. And so that left me out of having to do that. But if you know, you flattered me a little bit when you put my name on that sign up there. But flattery will get you nowhere. Because I've been in this too long. But it was appreciated.
Thank
I was
you.
actually thinking about putting that other guy's name, that Taverner guy that was the Civil War soldier.
Yeah.
He's the one I was actually thinking about getting to put in his name. But anyway, as soon as this guy is told by somebody, maybe it'll have to be the cop. Maybe a couple of us will have to run around with a bloody nose for a while, but somebody's gonna have to learn something.
Junior, just to clarify, what is being blocked up there?
Do what?
What is being blocked? What is the issue?
Well, I don't know. Okay, this is the other. Okay. Okay. The spot you all cleared him out is right here. You're not room for 5 cars and a turning space. Okay. Okay, what he's doing is his house is right here. He's coming out here and parking right up in here. Blocking it. Yeah. Now, if it wasn't for that, see, me and Kenny Thompson, we cut this out on purpose so when Mr. Waldrop had his car in there, we could just turn right there and come back off the field. Now, yesterday I backed off the field because the cop was moving.
That's not a hill back off of.
No.
But he is blocking now. It's not a civil matter. It's a traffic infraction, you know. It'd be like me going down here and parking in the middle back alley and just sitting there.
Well, I'll make a point to call Mr. Vestry and talk to him about I'm assuming it's the tenants that are parking there, right? The people he's renting the house to, that's who are parking in the road.
Well, yeah, but He does too. I think he's living up there with him.
Okay.
I mean, there must be 8 members up there. Cause
Mm.
once, he started arguing with me, out come a whole bunch of them, you know.
Yeah.
His son and his son's friend and his, daughter-in-law. So,
Well, I think our understanding as a city was that when we installed that turnaround there, that was going to give them some parking off road, and I'll speak to him about. That's why we did that and ask him not to park there. And if he continues, and I'll send the police up to
I don't
have the
really
road
want to
clear.
use that turning lane that you all prepared. Because like I said, it's too close. He said if I come 1 inch on his property, he's gonna get me for trespassing, which I ain't worried about that. But, you know, I don't want to use that spot anyway. I like to go up there and turn at the head of the alleyway because it goes quite at the top of the hill.
Understood.
I can get several cars in there.
But you can't do that if his car's parked in the alleyway.
I got to get through that there.
Okay.
I think about pushing it on down in the cemetery.
Please don't. Thank you.
Thanks, Junior.
Thank
Hope
you.
Mrs. Kelly gets well soon. Micah Harris.
Yeah, that Mike is our engineering intern. I didn't get him on the agenda, so I asked him to come sign in at the public speaking point. And this will be his last week, and so I wanted him to just kind of present a little bit of the things he's been working on this summer for you all, and put a name to a face or a face to a name or something like that. And I'll turn it over to him. Let him introduce himself.
Hi, if you don't know me already, I'm Micah Harris. I'm the engineering intern over at the city building. I'm a second year engineering student at Marshall University. I know you guys are upset to hear that. But over the past few months, I've had the opportunity to work with all the city people and I've really enjoyed it. And I think you guys have an amazing crew here, an amazing town. And I'm glad to say that I've come to enjoy it as much as I think you guys have. So I'd like to go over some of the work that I've done the past couple months that you guys don't think I've been getting paid to do nothing. So over the past month, I'll go over recent stuff first, and then we'll go back in time a little bit. Over the past month, I've gone through, more recently, gone through the sidewalks in the area. Some more in disarray than others, but gone through and seen which ones may need updated, which need repair, and more importantly, which parts of the intersection need ramps for to be in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I have a list here that I will distribute to you guys here in a moment of all the intersections that I have listed, and then I have a map that corresponds with all these intersection numbers. So it has whether or not they have a ramp at whichever part of the intersection, whether they have the truncated domes, so the little spots before you get into the roads for people who can't see very well, to use their canes to figure out where the road is. I went through every intersection that I thought saw had a sidewalk and listed that out for you guys with a total of how many ramps need either repaired or added to. So I can get you that here in a moment. Then more recently as well, I've gone through and mapped a lot of the sewer that we didn't have on our GIS mapping application. So there's a bunch of contracts that we had with different engineering companies that came through and proposed or put in sewer. So I went through those maps and placed them on our GIS application to have a more up to date mapping, so we understand where our sewer is coming from, how many manholes that we have, and which need updated or located. So I have a map as well that I can give you guys that has that listed out as well. Back in time a little bit more. I've worked with the city on a few things as far as estimates go. So a couple of sewer estimates that we did. We did one for an HOA that wanted to extend their sewer from where it stood to back in behind the alley for future tenants to connect into. They wanted however many feet of sewer line, and then they also wanted to put in a manhole, so I can also get you those numbers. And then we also had one of a customer who requested to extend out to where he was putting new apartments and wanted a figure on that. So I would also have that to you. More recently, I forgot about this. I've been out Mike Stewart had asked me to come out with him to measure some of the streets that you guys have requested to be fixed or paved or kind of updated. So we went out and measured them, got a estimate what a subtotal cost would look like, what a total cost may look like, and which streets may need overlaid, which need milled, and this, that, and the other. So I'll also distribute that to you. And then at the beginning of the summer, one of the bigger projects that we worked on whenever I first got here was working on identifying who, if anybody in Haleville, was connected with their gutters to the sanitary sewer. So a big problem that Nate had pointed out that I'm sure you guys are aware of is that whenever it rains, there's a large amount of sanitary sewer overflow that'll be dumped right into the river. So we're trying to figure out methods or ways to cut back on that, because obviously we don't want that. But we went through, we sent out notice letters after we did visual inspections from the road. If we could see where their customers' downspouts were daylighted out onto the ground or maybe into a pipe or into our storm sewer. We did not send them a letter, but we sent anybody else a notice to schedule with us an appointment to further delve into where their gutters do go and whether or not they do tie into the sanitary sewer, and then discuss with them their options if they did. So I have those letters here today, and then I have a more extensive list of all the people that we have that I can distribute to you at a later date if you so desire. But I really do think I've learned a lot. I've gained a lot of benefit from this, and I hope that you guys will eventually benefit from the things that I'm doing. I'm very proud to say that I've had a great time here, and I feel very proud of my work. And I hope you guys enjoy as much as I do. So I'll go ahead and distribute that to you guys if you would like me to. And
What kind of response rate did you get from the customers about their stormwater issues?
it was varied. We had a few people, as soon as they got the letter, would reach out. And then a couple people would wait a few weeks. But most of all, and most thankfully, it was a positive response. The people were willing to help out, and they weren't most of them. Me and Marty did encounter a couple people who were not as happy to help us with our investigation. But yeah, it was an overwhelmingly positive response from most of the residents to they are also concerned about this issue and want to find a solution to it. So they were happy to be part of it.
And he mapped those properties as well, so that we now know who has been officially verified as disconnected. So we'll have that in the future and continue the work.
That's great. Thank you.
And then I will also be here till the end of the week if you guys have any more questions about these projects or any other projects I've been working on.
Those are nice projects. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
So
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Micah.
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Okay,
turn
next,
the
Barb
agenda on?
McVaney. Yeah, you're on the agenda.
Yeah.
I was
She's a-
going by the visitors log. But
We marked you off.
Barb's under presentations. Barb's under presentations. That better go.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Betty, excuse me, you are under visitor section. So you can go before Barb.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank the city of Weston for sponsoring our neighborhood watch picnic that we're going to have. It's for the whole neighborhood, and especially thanks to the fire department for letting us hold our meetings there. And we're going to have our meeting, which is later down on the agenda, but it is Wednesday, the 7th at 6 o'clock. The other thing, I'd like to thank the police department, especially Deputy Chief Cross and K9 Luna. They have been going around door to door, checking the doors, checking the cars and all that. We've been getting little pamphlets and stuff in the in the doors. I think that's wonderful that they're doing that. It makes people feel more safe, especially our offices up there on Bank Alley. And so anyway, but I wanted to thank them for that. And the other police officers that are doing the same thing. I found out today. Also, let me see. Okay. The cemetery, Montpelier looks great. It's looked better this year than it has for a long time. They are keeping up with it. The mowing is good. And the other thanks is thanks to the street sweeper. They're going around really doing a good job on cleaning up all the streets. They're really taking a good care of Hellville. There's a lot of people that dump their cigarettes out of their ashtrays and they just leave them, and I don't want to go out there and pick them up, and they've been really good about it. And they put our gravel back into where it's supposed to go when that's either that or they're sucking it in because it's not out in the road. When you empty the street sweeper, you may have a whole ton of gravel in there. But anyway, that's cheaper that way. But anyway, I just wanted to bring things because I know a lot of times it's negativity and I'm responsible for a lot of that to come in here and complain, but that's what you're all here for. That's why we put you in office. So I wanted to thank everybody.
Oh, thanks, Betty.
Thank you, Betty.
And special thanks to our council person. Even though she's on vacation, she still answers my text. It's the positive thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Barbara McVaney.
As Barb comes forward, I invited her this evening to thank her for her partnership with the Hometown Hero Banner Program. And we were going to present a check, but between Judy, myself, and Joe all being out of the office last week, we dropped the ball on it. And so you're getting a big IOU tonight. Yeah. And just to clarify, this money is not money that's coming from the taxpayers of Weston, but it's through people who pay for their banner subscription that we put out each year. Those banner fees are held by the city. And then once we collect them and get through the whole program, we presented those. And so I think this year we're over $3,000, if I remember right. Don't hold me to it. That's not the size of the IOU. It just says IOU on it. But yep. But so yeah, this is just a partnership where those funds go directly there. The Weston Street Department has the biggest hand in making sure the banners get installed, and those are all done on our time. But we think it's a project that's worthwhile to honor the people in our country who've served in the armed forces, and also a way of us to support the museum's presence in Weston. We know it's a big draw to our community and one of the stalwarts of bringing people to our community to experience Weston. So we really appreciate you having you here, and we hope it continues. And we will work very diligently to make sure that the banner funds get to your hand. Okay, you're welcome, Barb.
Okay, one more time.
Oh.
Say your name.
Thank you
so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. Thank you, Mayor. If it wasn't for you, this wouldn't have been a fundraising project. And as of right now, it is our only fundraiser. So we really appreciate that. Get that checked out. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Laura Anderson.
Hello. I'm here to discuss the AmeriCorps program. Exciting news. We have the AmeriCorps positions posted and we have one applicant already, and we just posted last week. Our program is scheduled to begin on September the 10th. And there's going to be 2 weeks of training where these members will learn about the AmeriCorps program and all of the different training that they're required through AmeriCorps to do, and also gives us an opportunity to get to know our members. So for about 2 weeks, we will be working with these members. We being me, myself, and the soon-to-be AmeriCorps program assistant. We're to the point now in the program planning where it's time that we have that added position, which has already been, you all have already seen that budget that was submitted last week that discussed that position. This city employee is a part-time position and will be 1,040 hours. This person will basically be the supervisor for the after-school program. That will encompass 13 AmeriCorps members between the reduced halftime members and then our abbreviated time members. And those members would be serving 100 hours through the program, and then the the reduced halftime members will be there for 675 hours. And their main priority is going to be the after-school program. And that's something that I feel is going to really benefit from having someone there directly for supervision. So that's kind of where we're at with the AmeriCorps program.
And this is a grant funded program.
Yes.
As we had, so in case someone's watching that hasn't seen the previous meetings.
Yes, yes. We were awarded a grant through Volunteer West Virginia to initiate an AmeriCorps program for the city of Weston. And we are looking to have 18 members in our community giving back and performing services at the middle school and also in the Parks and Recreation Department of the city. So providing opportunities for adult rec leagues and different types of leisure activities that are organized and ready for members and people to enjoy.
Thank you, Laura.
All right.
You have on the agenda action requested.
Judy was not sure how to address this.
Okay, so we're good because that position was in the.
It was
budget.
already in the
Okay.
budget that you guys had already
Right.
witnessed. I just wanted to let you all know that that's where we're at before I posted it into the newspaper so you guys would understand what's happening.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura. Okay, next, we have the minutes from the regular and 2 special sessions. If you've had a chance to look over those. And there's no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept as distributed.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, under reports of city boards, commissions, we have the schedule for those meetings to take place, starting with the cemetery board, August 20th at 4 p.m. Historic landmarks, August 15th at 6 p.m. The planning commission, the 14th at 4. Board of Parks and Rec, August 19th at 5 p.m. The Lewis County EDA, August 28th at 5 p.m. Board of Zoning Appeals, August 13th at 6 p.m. Code Appeals, August 15th at 6. The Tree Commission, August 22nd at 4. The Arts Council, August 13th at 5:30. And the Land Reuse Agency, August 19th at 4:30.
At what time is your RA? sorry.
4:30.
Okay.
Solid waste has been rescheduled for August 21st at Sand Fork at 6:30.
Okay. And as Barb mentioned, the neighborhood watch is this Wednesday at 6 p.m. We still need a position and an alternate for Board of Zoning Appeals, 1 position for the Tree Commission, and the Land Reuse Agency, 1 position. We had 2 possibilities. Did neither one?
I've followed up with Mr. Butcher multiple times now, and no, he's responded each time that he was going to fill it out, and I haven't received it.
Okay,
Okay, I'll do that. Yep. Thank you for the reminder.
okay, and Dee's not here for the sanitary board.
I have some notes from her. She passed along to me.
Okay.
I'll share those with you. Obviously, we have the meeting coming up on Monday. I'll give you a little bit of an update. I think our tariff rate council is planning to attend to discuss the rate increase. And so we'll move on that. And our goal is to have that before you guys sometimes at the September meeting. But we can meet beforehand if we'd like to discuss a little bit further. I don't have any issue with that. But she wanted me to relay to you that in July, we've sent out bills for $177,524.93. We have collected for July, for this month, $224,521.43, which means she's collected on some past due, billing. This week she submitted 80 customers to West Virginia American Water for water termination, and 18 of those 80 have already paid today to not be disconnected. And like I mentioned to you, the PSC Council is working on the rate ordinance, and we're working on that for the next month, most likely. The sludge project, I'll update that, was going to be scheduled to have a bond ordinance for September, but that's been delayed now that the funding has changed. And so I think last I heard from Region 7 and from our engineers that they were going to approach the IJDC board for additional funding to meet that shortfall in the economic enhancement grant that we weren't able to meet the requirements. That's all the updates I have on that project at this point in time.
Any questions about sanitary board? None? Okay, finance report.
All right, good evening. First, I'll apologize. I was out all last week with something viral. And so I don't have as well prepared reports for you tonight as I would normally and as I'd hoped to. And there were things I told you at the special session that I hope to have to you by the regular session that I don't have ready. A few things, just to recap some of the highlights from the special session. We received sales tax on the 24th. It was just shy of $175,000. So that was higher than we were expecting and a great start to the year. That puts us a little bit ahead of our schedule for the year for what we have planned and budgeted. As you're going through your reports, just something to note. So today was my first day back in the office since the close of the month. So when preparing the profit and loss report, I was able to fully reconcile the general fund, which includes all regular expenses, but not the payroll account, which includes all those payroll things. So there's some updates I'll be making to that report and sending out to you. A few other things on the table in front of you are draft copies of the audit reports from fiscal years 21 and 22. Those are the last two audit reports from audits from the previous administration. I'll email those copies out to you tomorrow. I'm not asking you to do anything with them tonight because there's like 100 pages of information. It's a lot to digest. But I'll give you the Cliff Notes tonight. Each one basically had the same findings that we found in 2020 and 2021, which were a handful of immaterial findings. Immaterial findings just meaning that they were findings related to best practices of generally accepted accounting procedures. They were not findings related to anything like fraud or misappropriation or anything like that. There was nothing detrimental. But what they did find again was that there was no detailed capital asset or depreciation schedule. There was poor segregation of duties, failure to submit budget revisions, poor source document retentions, and poor retentions of bank reconciliation documents. So those are all things that since 22 we have done a lot better at. The biggest piece is that depreciation schedule. You may remember, I think back in April, maybe it was a little bit later than April, you all approved a contract with BHM to start getting that underway. That's something the city of Weston has never had, and that BHM will start helping us to develop. So that'll be the last big piece that we're chipping away at on that. But I'll send you digital copies of those tomorrow. And then I told you at the last special session that I thought in August we'd probably have to have a special session just to talk about finance things because of ARPA and because of opioid money. And because of audits, and I still think that's probably true, that I'll probably be requesting that later in the month. But otherwise, no major highlights from July from the financial report. Before I move on to vacant structures or check detail, does anyone have any questions? Okay. So I think the vacant structures income report, I think, is on page 37 of your packet. Page numbers didn't change, did they? Okay.
Page 37.
Page 37. So based on that report, I'll be asking you to transfer $3,675 from the general fund to the vacant structures fund. And that will bring your vacant structures fund with a total over $30,000.
I move to transfer $3,675 to the vacant building structure.
I'll second. It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then on page 38, you have that check detail report.
I'll move to approve.
It's been moved in second to approve the expense report. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do you have any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Joe.
Joe.
Glad,
Yeah.
glad you're better. Street Department.
There, I think,
4-page report.
4 pages and it. Oh, you have it? Okay, 4 pages, yeah, I'm sorry. The only thing that I've got to add to that is the last 2 things there of Shriver Trucking and Mountaineer RV outdoor sales. I'd like to give them a big shout out for helping us out with the 4th of July fireworks celebration. Just letting you all know we're busy and we're busy and we're busy and we're busy.
I have a question.
Okay,
Number 22, where it is the fixing the sidewalk at First Street there at the IGA building.
yes.
Is that the property owner? Do we bill them for that? What is our recourse on the sidewalks? We never said anything.
Wasn't that a utility?
There was a utility problem there and that fell underneath that, Debbie, but I'm going to tell you that I don't have anything in it other than labor because the concrete was donated to me with a contractor here in town. He said he had some concrete left over. I took it and I put it in that hole.
But if a utility, if there's an issue, is it the utility's responsibility to fix that sidewalk?
I think just the road, but I'm not real sure about the sidewalk, but that's something we need to find out whose sidewalks, whether they're ours or whose they are. And ask Mr. Bailey.
Down your list.
And I think it's that fundamental question. Are we gonna hold homeowners responsible for the sidewalk in front of their homes? I don't know. I think it's, that's kind of how I view it.
Right.
The 50, 60.
50 years
Yeah,
ago.
when the sidewalks were originally put
60
in, I
years
think.
ago.
Sidewalks, people hired the little kids to shovel their snow.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
It looks real nice.
Okay.
Herb has a question.
Herb's got a question. Is that in Lewis County? Oh, well, Nate, not to discuss that today. And I've had a problem up on Arch Street, which we had some drain problems up there. Water was going into a person's home, destroying that. Now we're over with another thing on Maple. Should be done tomorrow if we don't hit any more utilities. And we were discussing, well, we try to start it today, but I don't have enough equipment to do that. So we will need the hoe over there with the jackhammer to take it out, in which I have the hoe being used over on Maple. So
Same guy with the flag that runs around, picks up trash and all that. and
Mr.
goes
James,
again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Out there, I mean, we approved it. a good while
Right.
back.
Yeah.
We just need to get-
well, over there today and we took all the grass, everything all off of it. I had the guys that were cleaning everything all up so that way we can start on it. And it looks like if everything, the gas company doesn't put their gas lines in the way for me tomorrow, just letting you know, Herb, we should be done. Yeah, I'm throwing the ball back in your court, but we should be done over there tomorrow and hopefully we can start on that Wednesday and Thursday.
School starts on Wednesday, so I want to have it done before school starts. Yep.
Well, maybe you can get a hold of the school board and cancel school for about a
Yeah,
week.
work
It'd be
on
great.
it. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, police department.
We don't have anything other than a report.
Well, I've had a lot of positive feedback on the night patrols. Their citizens are very appreciative
Thank you.
of that. Thank you.
City Hall section.
Does anyone have questions for Chief Posey?
No, but I was looking over, that's a lot of answered calls, 234.
Yes,
It's been busy.
it is a lot. What?
Look at, there's just a whole lot of different crimes.
Wow.
We did get the surplus police vehicle from Charleston. So
Thank you.
Craig's got that now in his possession. I saw him out today running around in it.
White one?
It's a white one.
Okay.
Yep. All white.
Is that, the animal control or animal for Luna, the canine, that stuff is transferable right into that car?
The insert is not, but he had told me today that there was some kind of specialist he knew or some special way of doing it.
I sent him up to Kitsonville to the fabrication shop.
Yep.
Instead of putting in a whole kennel, we're just gonna
Yeah.
do one side.
Okay,
So I think we're gonna make it work for Luna.
as long as she's comfortable.
We worked on it a little bit today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Fire department.
I don't have anything else either.
You had a very busy report too. A lot of calls. I know. Appreciate you, Jimmy. Thank you. Thank you.
Were you pleased with the July 4th activities in your
Oh, yeah.
concession?
Yeah. About normal year.
Okay.
At least we had good weather.
We had, what, 25 minutes of rain?
Yeah.
And then it moved out. Yep.
It was too hot.
Was very well attended. The vendors, I can tell you, the vendors were very happy.
That's
Some of them
good.
sold out. Most of them sold out, the food vendors. Time Bistro sold out.
Yeah, fast.
Yes, yes.
Did we ever get a bill from those guys out in Virginia Avenue?
Okay, thank you. Questions for Jimmy? No. Building code zoning.
Now, the reports are in there if you have any questions on it, and then I think there's a couple items coming up on the new business report.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you wait on like the concern forms or do you like go through the wards and if you see something wrong, do you write them up?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm actively out there looking and writing them up. That's where the code violations come from.
I know. I drive by several.
Yeah, I'm out actively looking for that stuff or houses that, when a house needs condemned or whatever, I'm out actively looking for that
And
stuff.
on the house. I think I asked this before. That they have how many days to do that?
when I condemn a house or give just a corrective order, if I condemn one, a corrective order goes with it in certified mail to them. And by code, they are given 20 days to appeal in writing to us, or a total of 30 days to rectify the problem themselves. And if they don't, then we reserve the right to be able to step in and fix the problem and bill them and place a lien against it.
I just wondered because I know several of those went up, what, May?
There's some of them that are from when I first started, actually. Sometimes it comes down to funding.
What do you,
Well, I just wonder, can you are you allowed to take them to municipal court if they don't do the corrective actions on those, if they're, in endangerment or?
I mean, that's a lot of the ones that dilapidated houses that we tore down. That's part of the notification process. And that's how we got to the point of being able to step in. And I've actually had a couple of property owners that were pretty mad about the fact that we tore houses down. But I showed them, look, you've had notification, you had your chance, and you failed to act. So we acted for you. So, as far as going to court, I don't know. Brian could probably answer that a little better than I
When you
can.
get when Marty condemns your house, and I'm going to dummy this down a little bit, tear your house down, it's dilapidated, or it's in bad shape. You don't have to jump stiff-legged that day and tear it down. You have 20 days to say, I disagree with this, and that goes to what's called our Code Appeals Board. And almost every single time, nobody takes advantage of going to that Code Appeals Board to make any kind of appeal. And once that 20 days goes by, and on top of that, another 10 days to let them fix it or do whatever they're supposed to with it. Once all that time period goes by, they have forfeited any ability to appeal that. And so at that point, if we have the bulldozers ready to go on day 31, you can go in there and bulldoze the house down. Now, we can all do the math. There's 10,000 houses that need bulldozed down, and each of them are $20,000 each. And so you kind of have to, I hate to say pick and choose isn't the right word, but on our standards for which ones we're going to prioritize, I think that's what we're doing. We're trying to go down this list of which ones are prioritized.
I can't live in Edgewood, and I have to go West Second Street.
Sure.
And Broad Street, and it's just,
Many of those aren't condemned,
Yeah.
right?
but there's a lot of things that need corrected. I mean, out there, we got that tree they cut down and all that branches and stuff are in the yard. And these are things you can see, a gateway coming into town. That's why I'm really more concerned about it. I mean, I have issues in Ward 3, but I'm really concerned about this gateway issue in the town.
Well, and a lot of those on Broad Street and West Second Street, we've torn down several out through there because they were a priority. And there's a few out there that I have sent, like West Virginia Property Maintenance cleaned it up and sent the people a bill. And if they don't pay it, we bill them 3 times. They don't pay it, then we put a lien against them.
The one that we sent in to clean up, Jonathan, he's got the whole trailer full of tires. They're on the trailer, but they've been sitting there for months.
And I've authorized West Virginia Property Maintenance to go take those out of there. I'm just waiting on him to go get them. But he was told actually about 3 weeks ago, go get them. Because the guys had plenty of time and he's had a corrective order to get rid of it. Yep. Yeah, originally they cleaned up that old other trailer full of trash and he said he was going to take the tires himself and get rid of them. Well, that didn't happen. So I'm just waiting on Anthony to go do it.
I do have one more out there. I'm sorry.
Fine.
If I don't do it now, my old mind kind of is later on. Also on West Second Street, there's like a pinkish maroon front of the house. And it's like the porch is off of it, and there's a couch laying in front of it, and it has a building permit on it. Do we know anything on that?
It's condemned as well. Those people live in Florida. They were supposed to wrap that couch during the city cleanup. They were supposed to wrap it in plastic. They called it in to be picked up. It wasn't wrapped, so the street department didn't get it. I've asked Anthony to get that too. Yep, no problem. And then just for reference, starting tomorrow morning, I'm going to be out of town on vacation for a little while. So So I'm not taking my city phone with me.
You can answer calls twice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you had a question about municipal court and, okay. Well, I do believe, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, please. A neighbor can take another neighbor to municipal court over some of these issues, such as a dog running at large, because we had that case.
I don't think that's within building code.
No, it's not, but that's my question to you. Can one neighbor take another one? Because we had an issue up on Arnold
It could be
where,
probably, I mean, it could be investigated as a nuisance type complaint,
right,
but I don't necessarily know if that's. I mean, it's still up to Marty to decide whether it's a building that needs dilapidation, torn down, not remodeled, but fixed or.
well, in that case, it was, I don't know if they're hauling the junk in, they just accumulate junk and then Marty makes them clean it up and then they accumulate junk and, it's ongoing.
That's on, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a municipal court thing?
Well, no, it is.
Can be.
Building codes over here, on-site citations over here, they're two separate things.
Okay.
On-site citations can go through municipal court. Building code condemnation stuff goes through the code appeals board. That's all under this umbrella of building code. Having
Okay.
junk all over your yard is probably more nuisance. I know
Right.
there's property maintenance stuff over here, but stuff over here in your yard with junk and whatnot, probably more on-site citation because it's more of a nuisance type thing. It attracts pests, it does this, it does that.
Sure.
And so you get a ticket like you get a speeding ticket. And then that triggers what's supposed to trigger processes through municipal court. In that situation, or the guy or girl cleans it up.
I understand.
You can cite people. We can bring them into.
Okay.
Yes.
But I do have a constituent who asked if he could take his neighbor to municipal court because of the habitual junk in the yard.
I mean, he could probably make some kind of complaint to the judge.
Okay.
And I hate to use the word civil because I don't know if that's the right word, but it's
Mhm.
city civil.
Right.
It's not circuit court civil.
I'm going to
I don't know.
entertain a question from the audience about
Okay.
this issue.
That bad a shape, or that terrible shape, and what's the process then? Because you've been driving around and there are people living in some of these houses and.
There are, and Brian and Nate might want to jump in here too, because there's been some ongoing discussion out in Oregon, I believe it was, wasn't it Big Bend, Oregon? And there's concern, okay, if somebody's living there and then you go out and you say, okay, you can't live here, you got to get out. What do you do with them if they have nowhere else to go? And I know there's been some concern about that.
I mean, is the concern the landowner, the homeowners living there, or somebody's just walking down the street and deciding I'm going to go squat on this place and live? I mean, regardless of whether the homeowner lives there or not, if the building is, I'm going to use the broad phrase uninhabitable. If it's a threat to human safety and whatnot, then it's a building that gets condemned and fixed or torn down, whichever one the building code official decides is appropriate. It doesn't matter whether anybody owns it or lives in it or whatnot. I don't know if that helps answer your question or not, but.
Well, David, I'll just offer a little bit of my guidance to Marty is that if there's children involved, obviously we're taking action as quickly as we can. We've got folks here who really are mentally unstable at times that we're letting live in houses that are probably squalor filled. And as long as the neighbors haven't filed a complaint at this point, we're not going in there and inspecting their floors or anything like that. They're adults and we kind of give them the ability to deal with it. But yeah, but if there are complaints about it, I think our motive is to try to do that. And we've, 2 years ago, we had one incident on Broad Street where we removed a woman from her own home because it was so filthy. And so it really involves a complaint, I think, at that point. It's got to have some kind of public health aspect to it. And of course, invest-
I usually try and play from the standpoint that I'm the bad guy. I don't want to go out there and say, hey, your neighbor over here hollered, because that doesn't help any community relationships. But I do also try to help people out I give them phone numbers for like Mountain Cap, West Virginia Housing Development Fund. I try and there's another grant program. I've got some paperwork at my desk, and I try and help them find some low interest or low income funding to help them. But they've got to fill out the application or make the phone call. Yeah, sometimes I've stood there and made the phone call for them before. It's frustrating. It is.
Thank you. Is that all you have, Marty?
For now, I guess.
Thank you.
City attorney.
Well, we kind of touched on something I want to talk about. Maybe, I think, maybe there's some stomach for maybe defining some nuisances a little bit more definitely, as opposed to these broad things or broad definitions of unsafe, unsanitary type stuff. I think we could do that. I mean, obviously not tonight, but in some form or fashion, and add it to the citation ordinance that we had. Oh my gosh, it's been a couple years ago now. And see what we can do with any of that. So you all think on some of the stuff that appears to be a nuisance. Just nuisances are tough because just because you don't like it doesn't necessarily mean it's a nuisance. So it has to have some kind of other component of, I call it taste. Just because you don't like the Mona Lisa doesn't mean it's a bad piece of art. Just because somebody has something that you don't like doesn't make it a nuisance. But we can hash that out later.
We probably need to set up another codification meeting too.
I'm going to give you another update on, I guess, nuisances too, is that we had a complaint today, I think, of some vagrants or busybodies, wherever you want to call them, that were up on the hillside behind the Dairy Mart and those properties. Marty and I looked at it today, and those properties are not listed as taxable parcels within the city limits. And so I think for our intents and purposes, we're not there to run anybody off of those parcels. Somebody complains about that, that's a county sheriff rigmarole. But I do think we when we discussed this a little bit, is that we do have this extraterritorial jurisdiction provision where we can go a half mile outside the city limits and
By state code.
and deal with nuisances that I interpret affect the city of Weston. And so as you're getting complaints, I just wanted to bring that up to you, that I think if it is affecting us, and that's probably too loose of a term, but if there's something that's a nuisance to the city as defined by the code, I think we probably can act on those parcels. But if there's just somebody trespassing on a property up there and living there, I don't think that that's necessarily something we're going to dabble in, because I don't really view that as a nuisance or a nuisance to us or our property to have jurisdiction over.
They were actually affecting the businesses who are inside the city limits out there.
I think that, yeah, somebody said someone was on a porch this morning or something like that. And to my knowledge, I think we ran down and ran her off this morning, didn't we? Okay.
Okay.
So we will continue to do that. I have no issue with that, but I just want to let you know, I think if that continues and we know they're staging themselves up there, that's not really within our jurisdiction.
They can always annex.
They sure can. They sure can.
Questions for Brian? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
City manager report.
All right. I think let's make sure I've got the page number. Page 229. And before I forget about the discussion of the goals set by council that's on the old business, this is also the sheet where we've combined all of our goals on there. So that'll be our reference point. I've updated this from the last month of activities. I've highlighted a couple things I want to discuss with you. I did have a conversation with Kenny Hall in his apartment complex behind Buns that he's constructing. There is some interest there of potentially annexing in if the city would be willing to provide pavement on the street, on his access road there or whatnot. And I think that there may be some synergy in the form that some of those streets give us access to our property further up the hill. And so it's on my list this week to follow up with him and see where that conversation lies. But I didn't want to tell you that I'd talked to him about that. And I hope there's some interest from council, at least to entertain a conversation with him and see if there's a way a partnership can be built there. Laura was here for AmeriCorps. Those positions are advertised. First due fire fee, I wanted to pick your all's brain on. I know when we had the public hearing, we had talked about maybe amending some of the municipal fees appeals board to include someone from that area. I've had the thought that maybe we should try to offer a fee credit potentially to people who pay their county fire fee towards their bill. So I think there's a couple other things out there with this thing that after we've heard the public comment that we may want to make amendments to it and reconsider. So that's something if you guys are amicable to it, let me know and we'll try to put that on a future agenda, most likely special session to talk about those things. But I do want that municipal fees appeals board is something that's just hanging out there that we need that to be active and we need to get that thing kickstarted up. And it seems like, I think, well, we've got the chamber member and we've got a council member, but we don't have a member of the public. And maybe that's somebody in the first due fire fee and we just leave it at 3 and put that person in there. So, whatever we decide to do, but that's something I do want to get on and get that thing started. So, because we've got a backlog of things that need to be brought before it. New office space for City Hall. I want to thank Marty for getting the wall framed up. And so we're going to hang some drywall, hopefully before he leaves. And we'll be able to start working on. Oh, you leaving tonight? Oh, okay. I thought it was the end of the week. Well, we'll cancel that. Yeah. We can get it done. We can get it done. Your pre-check, right? You can get through security fast. No, we're not going to do it before he leaves. I thought it was Friday. I'm sorry.
No,
So
that's Micah.
Micah, okay.
Uh-huh.
So we'll get that working on. I think at this juncture, we've got to find a place for the AmeriCorps folks to meet. And so I want to try to put the step on that and relocate or give them the space downstairs at our conference room is the thought, and then move our conference room up to my office and then I'll do some shuffling too to get out of there and not let that be our meeting space. So that's, if you guys we don't have to discuss that tonight, but if you've got any concerns with that plan, please let me know and it's nothing set in stone at this point.
Do you need a space at City Hall for the AmeriCorps? Do you
Well,
need
we've gone back and forth on it. I
City
think,
Hall or
I think it's important, especially this first year, that everybody be able to put eyes on them and be
Okay.
able to kind of
I
make it
understand.
easily manageable.
I
That's kind
understand.
of the thought.
Sure.
But we may end up doing something different, but I think that's
Okay.
our thought this week. Sanitary board budget, that budget was approved. And like I said, rate ordinance is expected in September, to meet that budget. Cemetery grant, Marty and myself worked on a grant through SHPO's office and we were awarded that and it's 10,000 with a $10,000 match. That is on the agenda and we can discuss that more. But that was a job well done by Marty. I want to give him some plugs there for getting the research done and hopefully I think we're looking at an arch and some headstone resetting and yep. So it should be a good work up there. We confirmed this past month that the applications are expected in September for dilapidated building program. So we have every intention to apply for that. The cultural center, we had our public meeting this past month and I won't say it was super well attended. We had plenty of people there, but I think everybody had an affiliation with the city in some form or fashion. Maybe it was one member from the painters union, I think was there. So at this point, we're going to get that thing wrapped up and that will leave us with a finished product of our layout and potentially a little bit more. And so we've got to decide how we're going to move forward on that project. And I think Joe spoke to you at the special session about that and we'll have that special meeting and talk about that stuff as well. Riverfront Park project, last week, we met with 4 different engineering firms to go through the 5G process with them and solicit their opinions. And so through that, Kimley Horn was shortlisted as the top firm. They're a firm out of Virginia at this point, but they're nationwide and and they've got a team of landscape architects and civil engineers and all that good stuff. And so they were very excited to be doing the work in Weston. I think that came through their interview. So at this point, we're going to be developing the scope and pricing.
They had a nice proposal for dam removal, didn't they?
Yeah, that was the highlight of it.
Don't even start.
Yeah. But they did bring kind of I won't say it's any kind of futuristic vision at this point, but they brought a nice presentation on placard. It's down in our conference room, so feel free to stop by and take a look if you'd like to. Okay. Camera project continues. We did get a camera installed at Hardman's this last month, and so I'm going to work this month to try to work on the park ones and get those up and running, and move forward on those.
Downtown.
We've got, I think, most of the intersections covered, but I still got the main one there that I've got to figure out how we're going to get.
And go live without having that and then add it later, or do they all have to be set first?
I mean, as the cameras are getting installed, they're going live. So
Oh,
every camera that has been installed is live in our system now.
okay.
And so we're just individually adding these as we get
Oh,
the stations
cool.
online.
So they're functional then.
Yeah. Mike and myself both have access to it.
Yes, it
I
was.
think it was. Yeah. Where all the criminals live.
Yes.
I'm trying to help you, Sherry, a little bit. Let's see here.
Huh?
I don't think we've plugged those in because of your bandwidth issues with your internet, I think. Has it been fixed? So we just need to get them plugged in then. All right. Thanks for the reminder.
Fence, the fencing. Remember the fence?
Yep,
We
we discussed that today. I think we
You
should,
know, the street department is really busy, but could we may entertain maybe hiring someone to install it?
I'm open to it. I think
That way that it would take the off their plate.
we can try. We can look into it. On the fence.
Huh? Oh, there's just riffraff at that end of the table. That's okay. Just disregard it.
We'll look into it. I know we had some question about whether we even want to stick with the same model fencing we
I
had.
liked it.
Yeah, it's just, I think it was a little bit lighter weight.
aesthetically
Yeah.
Pretty.
All right. Police department, where are we at with our PT test? Sorry. 17. Okay, so we had some testing, and so we're going to try to find some new recruits there. And let me flip on to the back page here. We've got Lively Park. We talked about sidewalk slated. Micah did a study on the street signs, and I forget how many exactly we needed, but we're going to try to at least buy a quarter of those and try to maybe do a ward a year. And we'll see if we'll see how it goes. I'll run the numbers again, but I may come back to you and just say let's steal a little bit of ARPA and get those signs replaced throughout the city and make things a lot better for everybody. But I think in the future we need to say we're going to replace 10% of them each year for 10 years, right? And that'll keep us up to date. So there's that. Disconnection, you heard Mike talk about that and the sludge project. And so that's about it at this point. We haven't heard anything further on the congressional directed spending and the facade grant. I haven't heard anything more on that at this point either. But
We should have, at this next meeting, we should have a real good understanding and grasp on where we are with this round and be able to, my hope is to come at the regular session in September and give council an updated report as to how much money it cost, given, for the grants versus the amount of money invested in homes and businesses. And I believe, Marty, how many do we have turned in? 3 or 4? We had 2 house roofs that I can think of just now and new windows, paint, and it was businesses and nonprofits and residents. I think 2 roofs. Yeah. So we had some investment and some buy-in from the community.
Nate, was that all you had?
oh, paving, I wanted to give you an update on that. So we didn't put it really necessarily on the agendas. What we're thinking at this point is we'll send you an email with a list of streets. We've got a $200,000 budget for paving. I'm hoping to keep that to $100,000 for the fall. Much like we had the slip last spring, that's how we covered those kinds of works. And if we have a bad winter and we have to burn through a bunch of salt, and we'll preserve our list or our additional 100,000 for the spring. So that will essentially leave $25,000 for each ward. Mike has a list, and we'll share that with you via email. I think if we're going to go $25,000, we may have to add a couple streets here to get them each to 25,000 because there's some bigger ones that take in some bigger chunks. But just work with us via email on that. And I think once we can get a list solidified, our intentions to get that bidded out and have that ready to be awarded at the September meeting so that we can get that on paper schedule for the end of the fall. Okay.
This may be, I can't remember, when does the transportation alternative grant?
I think we've already gone through the cycle this year. Yeah. We may have missed it, and I think I was working with the trails, and the county put in a trail application, and so we kind of lended our support to that one at this point.
They did.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve all of the department reports.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second? It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, purchase of street lighting.
And I don't know if I'm quite ready to have you guys award this. It got a little bit away from me while I was gone. But I've been working with Robert Kimball Associates. They're the Sternberg rep, which is the type of lights that we have in our downtown. I wanted to give you guys this pricing. This is updated pricing. My feeling is at this point, I'd like to just cut a check from ARPA and buy 4 new heads for the street lights, or however, I think we've actually got more than 4. I think there's 5 or 6 street lights.
Decorative streetlights.
Decorative street lights that are downtown right now, and replace those from those sodium bulbs to an LED bulb type. There's a couple bollards in Bank Alley that are lighted, that have been broken. I want to replace those. And then across the street on the GC Murphy side of that block, there's 4 spots in the concrete that have been conduited. I made up a word there, that we could bust out and put a base in and put a light fixture in. And so in our ARPA dollars, we had bookmarked $200,000 for street front improvement or streetscape improvements. And so my intention is to bring you a revised quote for all those features if you're happy about it, and go ahead and purchase those and get those ordered. I know there's been some conversation about maybe doing like a pilot project, gateway project along maybe Hellville, coming in there in front of Macapilla Cemetery. There's a row of just poles that are street lights and nothing but street lights. And so we thought maybe we could take those down and install decorative lights along that stretch, much like the Main Street entrance in Buchanan. Not that we're copying them, but something to that effect. And we've also got some places like, I know when Larry Snyder put the new sidewalk in front of the courthouse, we gave him some conduit to run conduit there that we could put decorative lights in front of the courthouse. A little bit more challenging in that we've got to find our electrical feed and get that ran and be able to serve those lights. But I think potentially those are the lowest hanging fruits for streetscape improvements. But I want you to see the pricing there. There's probably cheaper versions of lights out there on the market, but I think that Sternberg has a pretty good reputation for quality. You know, our lights were installed in just the early 2000s, and so I think they've done a pretty decent job of holding up with minimal maintenance. So there's that. One other item I'll mention to you as part of this kind of work that I'm doing is and I've called and I need to get them a response back, is that I'm trying to find somebody who would be willing to come in and spray paint street lights or our traffic signals. And so my thought was if we could paint those black,
Sure.
you know, the traffic signals, we'll try to do that too. So at this point, I think I'm going to recommend that you just table this. Let me refine this quote to make sure I've got an exact number right for you, because there's some features in here. You've got a one banner arm quoted, you've got one flag holder quoted, and I think our feeling probably is we want to see those things on all the light poles that we install. We're also on this quote, you're going to have fixtures in there, or I should say, on the new ones, you're going to have electric outlets is the intention, to be able to plug in maybe some LED Christmas lights and wrap the poles and things of that nature.
We need flower hangers too.
Flower hangers.
On the new
Okay.
ones.
How did I miss that? Yep.
Yep.
Slid by me.
Please.
So what? The flower.
I'm ready.
Gold plated.
Okay, is there a motion to table?
I mean,
You have a question, Clarabelle?
I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
real quick.
Okay.
Right there at the intersection of East Third where the CVS and all is.
That's that.
Very dark there.
Okay.
Want to see if that's something we can look into. I know at one point I thought we talked to CVS and the Family Dollar about leaving the lights on, but you can't force them to do that and have to pay electric bill to keep lights on all night. Because something I thought maybe having a street light above off the pole or just, regular street.
Mhm.
Something. Yeah.
Okay.
Very dark and
Falls under,
that falls on State Road.
I mean,
So.
just
we'll have to
one,
go
one
through
side
the-
of State Road.
Yeah.
Just one.
What'd you say?
Just one. You did it on the court side. That's us.
So anyway, CBS, they said that, sorry, Debbie. There's supposed to be the lights on.
All right.
Maybe that's something we can look
I mean,
Okay.
Yeah. Just one light.
I mean, I try to stay, plus they have those lights at Brown Avenue that they never.
What do you think about putting decorative lights at that intersection?
I was also.
I like that one better. I think it has the most traffic
That's what
flow.
I'm saying.
It's a
Even- I
gateway.
was either gonna say split it or I was gonna give up Ward 3 because I do think more people travel 33 coming in.
Well, thank you. That's very generous of me to share your,
But you
Yes,
can- you
unlike
can split it,
others.
But I've
And
always
people
thought
don't
33
Yeah.
needs to be the.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Gump to table. Is there a second? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good project, Nate. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, next. Awarding of demolition bids for 232 High Street, 254 High, 256 High, 258 High.
Yep.
I think at this point, we're going to make the recommendation to award the low bidder, which was Astor. I think the real question is how are we going to fund these projects? Joe, I think you gave a report tonight. There was 30,000 that potentially is going to be in the vacant structures fund. My feeling is that let's split the baby between funds and leave a little bit in our vacant structures fund. It's going to be replenished a little bit quicker now with some of these some of these properties who've been vacant for some time now and are paying. The fees are quite large. But I will say that I spoke to the property owner that owns 2 out of the 4 properties on High Street, and he has indicated that he's willing to pay for the city's demolition, that if we send a bill. Is that the latest word that you've received too? Okay. And so I hope that is the case. That was a couple weeks ago for me. But I think in the back of our mind, we can potentially see those 2 not be our expense to us. We'll probably put the cash up front. So what I'm asking for, I think at this point, is for us to go ahead and pay for those structures out of the demolition of the structures at $24,000 to Astor to come out of the vacant structures fund, and then we'll use our general funds to pay the tipping fees for the demolition. That should leave us at least a little bit of money to be able to remedy any other project or houses that become a problem this year. With our hopes, guys, of being that we'll receive a grant from DEP.
Sure.
Otherwise we're still dealing with a lot of problem properties with limited funding. And I think that, not to get too far down this funding conversation, but in my mind, I'm waiting to see what happens with that grant before we kind of finalize our ARPA spending, and to see, if we don't get that, then we may need to look at ARPA and do some stuff with that. Yeah. So.
Okay, is there a motion?
Demolition of 232 High Street, 254 High Street, 256 High Street, 258 High Street.
With upon the recommendation of the city manager for where the funding is coming from.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion?
I'll just add on that quickly comment that Marty's going to be gone the next week, as you all know, but I think Astor's indicated that they've put their permits in to get them torn down. And so their timeline is looking like next week when they'd be able to get to it. So.
an email to them tonight.
Yes.
And they indicated to me that their timeline is about the time I get back, they'll be ready to roll.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And next, under the Old Hill Cemetery grant, when we had our meeting, I was looking at the grant information and it said zero match. But I looked further into that paperwork and I saw where they actually are giving you the $10,000, but there is a match requirement. So I apologize for
Was that another USDA?
the
No,
SHPO.
SHPO,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you.
And the money was put in to this fiscal year's budget. There was a line item put in for that cemetery even before we applied for this. grant.
Right.
So there was some money appropriated there.
So we'll need a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second? It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And next we have ordinance 2024-06 to vacate city alley within Ghoul Addition in Shady Brook. This would be the first reading. Does anyone need any more explanation? So I'll entertain a motion to have the first reading by title only.
I move to have the first reading of ordinance 2024-06, vacant city alley within Gould Addition and Shady Brook by title.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This is the reading or the first reading of ordinance 2024-06, vacate a city alley within Gould Addition in Shady Brook by title only.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept or reject ordinance 2024-06.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the first reading of ordinance 2024-06. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, reports of city council. I distributed the mayor's report for the month of July. I want to thank everybody for the July 4th celebration,
Mhm.
including the counselors and Becca, she's not here, but everybody did a great job bringing that thing together, all the different facets and the community. I can't say enough about how much they appreciate the activity and the life that it's brought to Water Street. So thanks to everybody for that. And I'll turn it over to
Thank you.
Ward 1.
Thank you. I'll echo that sentiments with the fire department. I really appreciated you guys. We couldn't have a 4th of July celebration without the fire department. Also the street department. I know those guys are down there all day and half the night, and we really appreciate you. And also working with us leading up to. And I just wanted to also talk about the firefighters and the first due challenges that we have had. I just want to say that I have been so proud of our fire department and how they have conducted themselves on social media and out on the street, in their personal lives, in their professional lives. They are true professionals, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you. Hey, Ward 3.
I would also like to echo the sentiments about the 4th of July. I thought the fireworks were amazing this year, simply amazing. It was a good time, good food, good crowd, and I'm looking forward to next year. I talked last month about moving forward. And as we go over all these things, I know we kind of laugh and have fun with each other up here, but every one of us wants to see Weston move forward. Every one of us wants to work to get our community cleaned up, more activities, the AmeriCorps program, putting that in the schools after school program, and that will really help a lot of students. Just the many things we're going on, we're moving forward, and we got so many projects. That's exciting. I like to, when we mark projects off, that makes me more excited about that, but it takes a team to do that. And, the saying is there's no I in team. So it takes every one of us here. So I appreciate everyone and all their work.
I would like to start with thanking everybody as well for the 4th of July celebration. Thank all the city staff for everything you guys are doing. Just to rehash what Debbie's talking about as far as moving forward. If you look to where we was at 6-8 years ago to where we're at now, I think each and every one of us in the room can attest that how far we've came and what we've done as far as working as a team together. So hopefully we just keep moving in the right direction and go from there. I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.